Like you got to be 50, you got to be 40, you got to be, right? What he's talking about is maturity of the faith. You need men who are mature in the faith, and that makes sense. If they're going to be able to defend the faith against false teachers, they need to be mature in the faith. They need to understand what they believe, right? Some guys, I believe this, some men are ready to serve at 25. They grew up in a godly home, they studied the Bible, they read the Bible, they learned the Bible, they've been walking, they've been following after Jesus, they love Jesus, and they're ready, 25, they're ready to serve the local church. Some guys aren't ready to serve at 40, or 50, or 60, and they still lack that maturity. It's not, I don't even know that it's, I know Paul says not a recent convert, but again, the idea is maturity. Paul's expectation is that once you've been a convert for so long, you're not going to be, the author of Hebrews talks about, you're going to be drinking the milk anymore. You'll be ready for meat. There's an expectation of growth in the church. And so he's saying we need guys who have grown up in the faith some. They're not recent converts. And the reason why that's so important is because if they are immature in their faith, then pride could set in. Again, you could be, hey, I'm an elder. Congregation told me I was one of the best spiritual men in the church. Begin to get prideful, arrogant. And the devil's ready. The devil's ready for you. He's got you right where he wants you. The weightiness there. You see that. Fall into condemnation of the devil. And then finally, verse 7. An elder must be well thought of by outsiders. Moreover, he must be well thought of by outsiders so that he may not fall into disgrace, into a snare of the devil. The reputation of a man at his home and at his work matters to Paul. Be a faithful husband, faithful, got to be right, one-woman man, got to be a faithful husband. He's got to be faithful at taking care of his kids, got to be a faithful father. And here I think he's talking about when he goes out in the community, he's got to be a hard worker. He's got to be faithful. You can't have a bad reputation in the community because that's going to spoil the reputation of the church. And so there's a responsibility there. Now, granted, there are certain circumstances that could lead to a man having a bad reputation in this world. You can take a stand against certain sins and have a terrible reputation in the world. I don't think that's what Paul's talking about. What he's saying is as best as we can control it, right, we need to be men or the elders need to be men who are faithful in their work. You may go to, I almost think of it this way. You should be able to go to their job and not just say, are they a good worker? They should be at least that. But you just say, are they a good Christian when they're here? Do they love people? Do they share the gospel with people? Are they doing everything that they can to be a good, faithful Christian? These men will, in one sense, be representative of our church in the community. And so if they're not faithful at work, then they're probably not going to be faithful here, at least not for very long. And again, do you notice Paul says the reason why this is so important is because they could fall into disgrace, into a snare of the devil. You think the devil's coming after the church? Twice Paul says, you don't have this, the devil's coming after you. Twice. Brothers and sisters, the devil wants local churches. He delights in those articles that came out this week. He loves it. Look at how terrible these churches handle themselves. Look at they're just places for abuse. Lost people are reading that stuff and going, why in the world would I take my kid to a church? Why would I expose them to that? And this whole pride, this hubris thing, what do you think is causing those leaders to say, well, we don't want this to look bad on our church, so we're just going to. And the devil is attacking us. He's coming at us, and we're not exempt from that. And so we have to pray, Lord, would you give us men who meet these qualifications, men who are faithful in these qualifications, so that we can stand firm against the attacks of the enemy. According to Paul, we need men of character to lead us as elders. Right? We need men who are disciplined. We need men who are self-controlled. We need men who are not controlled by money or anger or alcohol. They need to not be controlled. They need to be faithful at home, faithful at work. The local church needs men like this to oversee them as they seek to follow Jesus. Guys, that's what we are. We're a local group of people who have said together, we want to be faithful followers of Jesus. We want to glorify God. What the church exists to glorify God. We do that primarily by building one another up and by reaching out to the lost. I mean, that's what we've been talking about since January, the beginning of the year. We need men who are great examples of that. Men who are following Jesus, loving Jesus, hating their sin, making war on their sin, confessing their sins to one another, right? And then they're helping you. Somebody that you can come to and say, brother, I cannot control my tongue at work. And he can say, I can help you. I can pray for you. I can love you. Somebody you can come to and say, my kids, Lord Jesus, help me, my kids, right? And that brother can sit down with you and not judge you. That brother can sit down with you and say, let me try to help. Let me try to pray. Try to do what I can. Men, somebody that you say, I know I'm not doing all I could do to be a good father. I know I'm not doing all I could do to be a good husband. There's somebody you could go to and say, brother, can you help? Can you help me? Not because they're perfect. Not because they're going to sit there and judge you and look down upon you. No, because they love you. Because they're fighting for the same thing in their own life. And they want to do all that they can to try to help you. They want to teach you the Word and show you the Word. What a blessing it would be, right? What a blessing it would be for a local church to have men like that. To have men like that we can come to. Men that are willing to do the hard stuff when they have to. Men who are willing to protect. Men who would say, I'd rather the place close its doors than be a home for abuse. I mean, men that are willing to do the hard stuff. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to make sacrifices in my life so that the local church will be built up, so that people will be faithfully evangelizing the lost and new disciples being made, and so that ultimately God would be glorified in Trinity Baptist. Would you join with me in praying that the Lord would raise up men like that for us? Let me pray for you.